First of all, thanks for being here. And most important, and I stressed it in my few comments, are the victims. The sensitivity to the victims, their emotional well-being. And that's what we're going to address first. After we get that stabilized, then we'll move forward with the debriefing process. So we need your cooperation on some of your questions, because some of the questions may impact their emotions, the way their state of mind currently right now. So you're going to have to be patient with us as we proceed over the next couple of days, next couple of weeks, possibly a month with this investigation. Thank you.
Thank you.
A live news conference coming from Cleveland. You heard the reporters asking questions there. Earlier we had comments from the chief of police, the Cleveland mayor, Steve Anthony, the FBI special agent who is also involved in this case, and the deputy chief of Cleveland Police, Ed Tomba. John Northcott and I have been listening to this news conference. He's in our newsroom, and maybe perhaps, John, we can go through, and you've been on this story all morning at our breaking news desk in the newsroom. Let's begin with what the mayor had to say about the 3 women and the 3 men who are now arrested and will be charged.
Absolutely. They have to do that within 36 hours. There will be a grand jury, and they'll be called, and they expect those men, those 3 brothers, the Castro brothers, aged 50, 52, and 54, to be charged. A lot of comments, not only from the mayor, but from so many at the news conference, about the women themselves, about how, as much as the criminal investigation is their focus, their immediate focus of this is those 3 women. Their emotional state, their reunions with their family, putting them back, essentially, as they were saying there, on the road to recovery, bringing in a special team. Some of the same people, they said, have been in Boston dealing with the emotional conflagration that the people there have put up with, bringing them in, walking them through the process. Those who specialize in sexual assault, the sexual victim recovery, that is what they're pointing to as one of the primary focuses of their efforts right now.
And along with that comment, the discussion of sexual assault, there is a 6-year-old child who was also removed from the house. We heard from Deputy Police Chief Tomba that that child, they believe, belongs to Amanda Berry, the woman who made that chilling call to 911 and said, "I'm here, I've been kidnapped, I've been missing for 10 years, I am free now." So I just want to ask you about these 3 men who are now in police custody. You mentioned 3 brothers, Ariel Castro, Pedro Castro, and O'Neill Castro. Only one of them lived at that house, Ariel Castro, and he was a school bus driver. There was a time when police knocked on that door at 2207 Seymour on a different investigation. As a school bus driver, he had apparently left a child, and police used the word inadvertently, on a bus. So they went knocking on the door, and this would have been in what year did you?
It's 2004.
2004. So if we think back to that, 2004. Now, Gina DeJesus went missing April 2nd, 2004. Michelle Knight went missing August 22nd of 02, and Amanda Berry missing April of 03. So at the time police were knocking on that door for that separate investigation on the school bus, there could have been 2 women held in that house.
Very likely. And that was what, and not to be too cynical about this, but one of the primary thrusts of that news conference, watching all those officials come forward, was to explain, let's not say justify, but explain the role the city has played throughout this process, saying that that our policies are solid, that they have been revamped constantly, we're working to improve them, that no amount of effort was spared in this investigation, because those missing women were the focus of the community for so many years. What had happened to them, the mystery of that. They worked with dedication. They said every lead was followed up. They referred to having dug up backyards, which they did. They brought in cadaver dogs. 2 different sites. Right. Men have been arrested before in this. One man was actually sent to jail for 4.5 years for providing false evidence in this case. And yet at the same time, they are saying they've gone through their city records as far back as they can, including that incident of 2004. The only one that they can find where city officials were in any capacity at that address. They say they didn't receive nothing from the neighbors. They received nothing. There was no EMS call ever to that house. There were no building code infractions that brought any officials there. There were no fire officials. There was no police. There was no reason for the police to come to that address other than a complaint from one of the brothers of a fight on the street, that there were no charges. They didn't go to the front door to deal with that. And yet the question is being asked, if this were a remote rural community, fair enough. A guy out on a farm, okay. but a neighborhood populated with people where, as we're hearing, these, not at this news conference, but we've heard from other sources, and people in the community interacting with these men. They may even have seen this 6-year-old child, this girl. One neighbor reporting speaking to the charged individual in this case, Ariel Castro, who lived at that address, in the park as recently as this past weekend with this 6-year-old, asked who the child was. Oh, that is my girlfriend's child. So there appears to have been some comings and goings. There appears to have been activity, obviously, over a period of time in that house. The police saying they would have liked to have heard more from the neighbors. Whether that's the neighbors, whether that's the police, whose responsibility that is going to be, if not the focus of the investigation, certainly the focus of a lot of questions as this moves forward.